What's going on there, everyone? Well, before we get into the story, I had a few subscribers ask about my sombrero and asked me to wear it in a video. Here is my sombrero. It's a legit sombrero. The problem is, my head's too big for it now, because I got it when I was much younger. But, yeah, cultural appropriation. I love it. Because I used to love this sombrero. I like a sombrero anyways. I agree with a comedian named Owen Benjamin. The hats of the world are all jacked up because it seems like the whitest people have the tiniest hats, which are the Jewish people. And the Mexicans have these giant brim hats and they're dark skinned, so their skin actually helps absorb some sunlight while we burn. We should have the sombreros. Makes more sense for us. But on to a serious note. This video. Something we've seen time and time again over the last few years, ever since, really since the activist woke crowd came about. We've seen numerous examples of when Westerners travel to places that have long been deemed too dangerous. They go there to say, oh, it's not that bad, and they end up dead, or in this case, they're the lucky ones because they're just in an Iranian prison. Let's get into the story. Western couple traveled to Middle East to prove it gets a bad rap, end up in Iranian prison. People, the world is not this lovely utopian whatever you think it is. The world is extraordinarily dangerous, especially if you're a Westerner. There's a lot of places that just don't like us for no particular reason. I don't know why they don't like us. Some of them have some examples of why they don't like us, but I don't think those are good enough, meaningful examples. But let's get into the story. A blogger couple who traveled from Australia to Asia and the Middle East in an attempt to break the stigma surrounding developing countries was reportedly arrested in Iran. I wonder if they were arrested as spies or what. Most likely because they like to call any white person a spy. Which is true. They do that. You can't deny that. That's factual. The duo were recently identified as Jolie King and Mark Firkin. Nice. The BBC reported on Thursday. Although the couple was arrested 10 weeks ago near Tehran, it wasn't until Wednesday that the news became known. In 2017, they planned to leave Australia and drive from Asia to London. Along the way, the pair shared videos documenting their trip with their thousands of followers on social media. Their posts on Instagram and YouTube are full of stunning landscapes, cerulean beaches, and lush waterfalls that look ripped out of luxury travelogues. A far cry from the reality many associate with less developed areas of the world. Now, I'll give it to these areas. These areas are gorgeous. I mean, they are beautiful. But it's not the landscape that you got to worry about generally. It's the people within that landscape and their somewhat demented or twisted ideologies. That's the worry. It's not the actual land. No, land doesn't do nothing. Land's kind of like a gun. It's an inanimate object and can't hurt nobody. Unless you're in a volcano, then you're screwed. Our biggest motivation is to hopefully inspire anyone wanting to travel and also try to break the stigma around traveling to countries which get a bad rap in the media, the pair wrote online. I wonder if they think differently about how they felt now that they've spent approximately 10 weeks in a prison for doing nothing. Thing is, we'll probably never know. The journey seemed to be proceeding in perfect, idyllic fashion as evidenced by the couple's regular post to Instagram. The warm Good Lord. I tell you what, I said it earlier. I can't speak today worth of crap. The warm hospitality we received in Pakistan continued to deliver through. A local shepherd who spoke zero English rode up on his horse, got off, then offered his horse to go for a ride. They said in one such post. Jolie went for a spin, then with nothing but a smile and waved, he rode off down the valley with two of his mates who had also arrived. That could have been your downfall. But the frequent updates King and Firkin shared to an Instagram account, the way overland they set up just for the trip abruptly stopped in late June. Australian officials have repeatedly petitioned Tehran for the pair's release, according to the BBC. We hope to see Mark and Jolie safely home as soon as possible, the couple's families said Thursday in a statement released by the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs. According to the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, King and Firkin were arrested for reportedly flying a drone without a permit. They've been imprisoned ever since. That's pretty intense. A source told the BBC that King was told Iran is holding her as a part of a potential prisoner exchange with Australia. You gotta love that. You know, these lands, they get such a bad rap. No, I don't think they're getting a bad rap. I think it's what's happening over there is fact. Not a bad rap. That's how these places are. They're crazy. They think very strange compared to us. They don't think like Westerners at all. And they hate us. King and Firkin aren't the only couple to have turned their idealism into action by traveling to potentially dangerous foreign lands. In July, a Somalian-born Canadian journalist returned to her homeland to tell uplifting stories of how people lived there. However, her homecoming ended in tragedy when she was killed in an attack perpetrated by Al-Shabaab militants. Last July, Jay Alston and Lauren Georgian? Gregorian? I don't know. You know, I suck at names. Were biking in southwest Tajikistan, a region that borders ISIS territory in northern Afghanistan, when they were murdered by 5 men who stabbed the couple to death. The attack was led by an Islamic State terrorist. The two had embarked in 2017 on a bike trip around the world, and in echo of Firkin and King, the couple was motivated by their belief that, by and large, humans are kind, as Austin put it in a blog post documenting the journey. I wish we could say that, because it is something that's wonderful to think, that by and large humans are kind. And generally, generally they're not. Generally people, when seeing someone who is a foreigner, they're not that kind. I've traveled outside of the United States a few times, and I got to say, people aren't that kind. You go to certain areas, and they're like, oh yeah, American? Right on. But you go to some other areas, you'll wear a Canadian shirt before you wear an American shirt if you know it's good for you. It's kind of sad. You read the papers, and you're led to believe that the world is a big, scary place. It kind of is. Austin wrote from Morocco, I don't buy it. Evil is a make-believe concept. We've invented to deal with the complexities of fellow humans holding values and belief and perspectives different to our own. So, evil's a make-believe concept. Really? So Hitler wasn't evil? Not at all. Stalin? Not at all. Mao? Not at all. Pol Pot? Not at all. Not at all. Maduro? Not at all. They're not. They're just misunderstood, or they hold different values. Yeah, well, some of those values can be evil, people. I'm sorry to announce that. It just shows. It just shows the naivety these people have. Just because you hear that places are bad or evil or crazy doesn't mean you have to go try to prove that they're not, because indeed what we see time and time again is exactly the opposite. It's proven. When foreigners travel, especially to places in the Middle East, you are not very much welcomed. Because even if you talk to someone and they seem to be real nice, they're probably real nice while they're talking to you, but then they're going to run back and tell some other people, and those other people they tell might not be so nice, and they might come for you. Just words to the wise. There's certain places in this world we all know better than to actually go to. I don't need to name them because there's so many, and we all know them. Don't go there. Don't try to prove something to the world, because all it's going to do is get you either arrested or killed. or tortured or something. Something bad's going to happen to you. Does it happen in every case? No. But does it happen enough that we should realize that this traveling to these places is a bad idea? Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say is don't travel to places where you know you shouldn't go. Where you know you shouldn't go. And as always, love to hear your comments and like, share, and subscribe. I will catch you on the flip side.